All right, so again, for those that are just now joining us, welcome. My name is Will Moss. I'm going to be your moderator. So we're going to give folks a couple of minutes after the hour to get connected, to get situated. But a little bit of housekeeping for those of you that are already on. Would love for you to introduce yourself in the chat. Maybe introduce, maybe what school you represent. Drop a link to your LinkedIn profile. Always highly encouraged. But we will be recording this event, as you all can see. So we will share the recording with you after the event. So if you like to review things, or maybe if you have to step away for a bathroom break or run to the kitchen for something to drink, that kind of thing, do not worry. We will share the recording with you after the event. But I really want to stress that you should take advantage of this being a live and interactive event. Of course, you can see the recording later, at your leisure, but your opportunity here is to engage, to ask questions, to learn more about the team at Nationwide Children's, more about what they do, what their opportunities are, what the company culture is like. So you're going to have that opportunity in this afternoon's event. So we're really happy that you all have taken the time out to join us. But for those of you just now joining us, feel free to network in the chat, introduce yourself, maybe what HBCU you represent, drop a link to your LinkedIn profile. We will be sharing the chat log with the Nationwide Children's team so that they can review all of your great comments and questions, and as well as your LinkedIn profile. So super excited about the event this afternoon, and we're going to get started here in another minute. Just going to give folks another minute to connect, and then we will get started. Again, if you have questions, definitely utilize the chat. And I'll give you a heads up, we will have breakout sessions as a part of this event. And the value proposition with the breakout sessions is that you can actually jump into the breakout session of your choice. You can actually turn on your camera if you're in a place where you're prepared to do so. And then you can also come off of mute if you're in a quiet place where you can actually come off of mute, ask your questions, using your computer, your microphone, or your cell phone. You can do that in the breakout sessions. So in the breakout sessions, there'll be some brief presentations. You'll meet the team members and know who you're talking to. Then you'll have the opportunity to ask questions either live on your microphone and camera, or you can leverage the chat, which is why I'm highly encouraging you all to definitely leverage the chat, because this is a live and interactive event. There are lots of folks from the Nationwide Children's team that are here monitoring the chat to answer your questions, to engage with you, and to make sure you know more about Nationwide Children's. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're already recording. For those of you that just now joined us, we will be recording this event. We will share the recording post-event, so if you need to step away, no worries. But let's go ahead and get started. So our event this evening, or this afternoon, I'm sorry, is with Nationwide Children's Hospital in the beautiful city of Columbus, Ohio. A fun fact is that HBCU Connect is also based in Columbus, Ohio, and we always have been. I'm actually a Hampton University graduate. I went to Hampton and graduated in 1995. So let me give you a brief introduction on who I am and a little bit about HBCU Connect and our partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital and the opportunity for you this afternoon. So of course, my name is Will Moss. I'm the CEO of HBCU Connect. Super excited to be moderating this afternoon's event. We really want you all to take advantage of it. So like I said earlier, please interact and engage in the chat. But a little bit about HBCU Connect, if this is your first time attending one of our events. We are essentially an opportunity engine for HBCU students, HBCU grads, and the larger African-American professional community, as well as a growing Latinx audience. And our job is to connect you all with opportunities. So you are in the right place at the right time if you're looking for opportunities for yourself, whether that's internships, co-ops, externships, jobs after graduations, or if you're a seasoned professional, there are also opportunities for you as well. But a little bit about our partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital. Like I said, they're based in Columbus, Ohio. HBCU Connect is also. Nationwide Children's Hospital has done this HBCU focused event to provide opportunities for HBCU students and HBCU grads. And we're super excited to be a part of it. Last year, we helped promote it. So some of you all may have been able to participate last year, but this year, thankfully we have a greater role and wanted to do sort of a special event inviting all of you all to take advantage of the opportunities with Nationwide Children's Hospital. So the purpose of this event is not only for you to learn more about the opportunities at Nationwide Children's Hospital, but also to learn about the culture, to meet the team, and then of course to be able to engage. So we've set aside roughly an hour for you all to engage in the breakout sessions. So make sure to take advantage of that in the second part of our event. All right, so let me quickly go over the agenda and then we'll jump into our run of show. So first we'll have a welcome from Nadia Richardson there at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Then after Nadia finishes up, we're going to do an intro to Nationwide Children's Hospital to give you that high level overview with Joanna Kenner. Then we're going to have an inclusion and culture presentation by Lainey Chase and Dominique Holyfield. After that inclusion and culture presentation, then we're going to have a panel discussion. So I've prepared some questions to ask the Nationwide Children's Hospital team after introducing that team to you. Then we're going to jump into the breakout sessions where you'll have roughly an hour to engage and ask questions to the team, learn more about the different parts of the business and where they're hiring. And then we'll come back for next steps and closing remarks. So like I said earlier, if you're in a quiet place where you can turn on your audio and video in the breakout sessions, you will have the opportunity to do so. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce Nadia Richardson, RN BSN Program Manager, Primary Care Network. So Nadia, if you're ready.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So I'm so excited and honored to welcome all of you to our second annual HBCU Summit here at Nationwide Children's Hospital. My name is Nadia Richardson, and I'm currently one of 5 program managers for our 14 locations in the Primary Care Network. I'd like to share with you a little of my journey to get here, and more importantly, what has made me stay. So I was a shy and introverted kid that had big dreams. No one in my family had ever gone to college, but as far back as I can remember, I told anyone who asked that I wanted to be a kid doctor. I later upgraded my terminology to say pediatrician, although I still had no clue what that required. It was the only thing that I knew where I could work with kids and work in healthcare. Little did I know that I would actually achieve and live my dream, just not exactly via the path that I had imagined. I grew up here in Columbus, Ohio, right in the heart of the city, primarily on the east side, just about 15 minutes from our main campus. I was privileged to receive an opportunity to attend the Ohio State University through the Young Scholars Program. This program granted scholarships to academically talented students with low income who would be the first generation in their family to go to college and receive a bachelor's degree. I had my daughter during my senior year, winter quarter, but I was determined to continue on, and 5 months later, I graduated in the spring. I did it. I made my family proud, accomplished my first goal, and got a college degree, but I was nowhere close to being a pediatrician. This degree in evolution, ecology, and organismal biology was not going to cut it, and it was only the beginning. So now what? I had this generic science degree, a baby, and I needed a real job ASAP. I started working at a local adult hospital as a patient care assistant on an inpatient unit while I figured out what was next and how I would still get to medical school. I had a friend who was a radiology tech here at NCH who called me about an orthopedic technician position they had coming open at the orthopedic center, and she suggested I apply. I had no idea what an ortho tech did, but I was like, putting on casts and splints sounds like fun. I do eventually want to work at Children's Hospital, so sure, why not? I got that job in 2002, less than a year after graduation. Now here I am, over 20 years later, still here, working in healthcare and with kids. My dream that became reality. It was here at Nationwide Children's that I found that nursing was my passion. I'm living my dream in a way I did not initially plan. I'm talking to you 2 bachelor degrees later and currently working on a dual master's degree in nursing administration with an MBA. So what's made me stay here at Nationwide Children's for 20 years? To start, I would like to say it's the culture of team, the mentoring I receive, and the endless opportunities for both personal and professional growth. I have grown up through the ranks here at NCH. I started as an entry level orthopedic tech, and with encouragement, mentoring, and help from our tuition reimbursement benefit, I've been able to continue on a path of lifelong learning. Ortho tech to staff nurse to clinical leader, which in some organizations may be equivalent to a nursing supervisor, and now a program manager in one of the largest departments in the second largest children's hospital in America. Each position I've held was growth into my next level. Professionally, I have exceeded my own ideas and expectations. As a nurse leader, I'm constantly encouraged to set higher goals and challenged to step out of my comfort zone, or as one of my mentors refers to it, take stretch assignments. Boy, have I stretched. Remember earlier when I said I was shy and introverted? Had you asked me 20 years ago to talk to a group of more than three people, immediately no. And if I'm being honest, even 2 years ago, probably still immediately no. And now here I am with a group of over 50 strangers and all eyes on me. Another very important quality that provides staying power for me is the phenomenal amount of collaboration with both internal and external resources and departments around the city. These relationships and the concept of being one team with a common goal helps us support our direct patients and families, as well as the community at large. We work with programs and organizations like the Black Nurses Association, the African American Wellness Agency, and Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Families to engage the community around us and do work on a variety of levels to address health equity. There are always opportunities to volunteer, to get out in the community and do community outreach, or participate in any number of health initiatives across the city. I feel our culture around safety and teamwork here at Nationwide Children's is unmatched. I'm always proud to say that I'm a part of Nationwide Children's Hospital. As you hear from several of my colleagues this evening, you will see a few highlights from the many programs that support our mission and values. I hope you can feel the passion we have here, and I invite you to join us on our journey to best outcomes and health equity for all children. Thank you.
Nadia, thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time out and to do those stretch goals. And shout out to the east side of Columbus. I'm also from the east side. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce our next speaker, who's going to speak to mission, vision, and fast facts. That's Joanna Kenner, Clinical Talent Acquisition Partner. So Joanna, if you're ready.
I am ready. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Like you said, my name is Joanna Kenner, and I am a clinical talent acquisition partner here at Nationwide Children's. And I have been a team member here for almost 12 years, and it's been absolutely wonderful. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to share some fast facts as well as our mission and vision statements. Next slide, please. All right, so Nationwide Children's is the second largest children's hospital in the United States, and it's also the first freestanding pediatric hospital in Ohio to achieve magnet status. And that designates us as a hospital that provides world-class patient care and innovation in nursing practice. Nationwide Children's is also consistently ranked in the US News and World Report's America's Best Children's Hospital and has been named one of America's best employers for diversity by Forbes. As a teaching hospital, we partner with colleges, universities, and institutions worldwide to bring the brightest and the best to pediatric care. So we don't quite have our data for 2022 yet, but I wanted to share a few fast facts about 2021 that are pretty fascinating. So in 2021, we had over 1.6 million patient visits, and that includes patients from all 50 states as well as 46 foreign countries, which is pretty incredible. So with over 15,000 team members, these accomplishments and the care provided to our patients are made possible through our strong belief in our mission and vision for the organization. All right, next slide. All right, so our mission at Nationwide Children's is to provide the best outcomes and health equity for all children, ensuring every child has access to the best care regardless of their ability to pay. And that is partnered with our vision, which is to have the best outcomes in everything we do, together delivering the best health care for children. All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you, Joanna. Appreciate that brief intro. So the Office of Inclusion and Culture, we're going to talk about next with Lainey Chase, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Lead Consulting Inclusion and Culture, and Dominique Holyfield, Senior Inclusion and Culture Consultant. So Lainey, first of all, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank you, Will. Lainey Chase, that is it.
Perfect. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. Well, first off, I am so honored and excited to be here, joined by most all of my team as well. So a quick introduction to myself. I'm Lainey Chase. I'm not originally from Ohio. I'm actually from Los Angeles. So a bit of the West Coast, Midwest vibe hybrid now feels. And really, I think my piece here at Nationwide Children's Hospital has been a journey of self-growth, but also impactful with the team that I have. So I've been with Children's for 2 years, and it all has been in this role in particular, just creating change, learning through change, and really growing with my team here. So I'm going to let my team introduce, because it's an honor to be here with almost half my team. So I'll give the mic here to Dominique, and you'll get a chance to meet her. And then Tamika Smith will also get a chance to introduce herself.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dominique Holyfield. I am the newest member on our small but mighty team. I've been in this position for about 10 months. However, diversity and inclusion has always been in my forefront for about 10 plus years. So this is nothing new to me. I'm glad to be here amongst HBCU alums and future graduates. I am currently wearing a Southern University hoodie. So any Southern University alums, shout out to y'all. I love it. Also, this is awesome. I'm excited to talk to y'all about what we do, how we do things, but I don't want to take up too much time on the introduction. We're going to get to the meat and potatoes here in a little bit. I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Tamika, to end us off on a positive note on our introductions.
Tamika, are you with us? There you are.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm Tamika Smith with the Inclusion and Culture team here at Nationwide Children's Hospital. I was pausing because I couldn't see myself come up, but I'm just excited. I'm not doing a part of this presentation, but I'm just excited for my team, and I'm here to support them.
Tamika, well, you'll see more Tamika in a breakout session. So, but I wanted to give and create space that you have 3 of the 4 members of our small but mighty team of the Inclusion and Culture Office. So you've heard a little bit of the stats of kind of what the hospital does in terms of number, data, the sheer scope of what we do. And really, we're here to present to you, where do we fit as talent and culture? In 2021, the hospital launched one of the most highest, just impactful strategies, a 5-year plan that the hospital really made an intentional move to say, where's our focus? Who are our partners? What do we need to bring the best outcomes for children everywhere? So our team, the Office of Inclusion and Culture, sits under the culture and talent pillar. So that's the foundation, and then the multiple workings of what you see in the strategy. We're going to focus in on the culture and talent. Next slide, please. So what does that mean? And you think about culture, I shared where I'm from, right? And, you know, multiple folks here have already shared where they're originally from. And so you bring a little bit about yourself into the workspace, and then you create a culture within a workspace. And then there's so many moving parts with that. So for us, as a small team of 4, we have an extension of multiple partners across the hospital that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, ultimately for the outcome of belonging, right? That sense of I belong somewhere, either in a team, in a department, an employee resource group. We'll get into that, what that is and looks like here at NCH. But really to celebrate and deepen our values, our one team culture, right? That we are all in this together, achieving the best outcomes for our children everywhere. I mentioned our employee resource groups. Dominique is going to touch a little bit on that here in a few minutes, but that's just a snippet part of the work that we do. Under the culture and talent pillar, we also have our framework, Stand Against Racism, Stand for Health Equity. This framework was launched in 2020, and really in light of the historical events that happened with George Floyd, to make an intentional move to partner all these moving parts. Each one of these that I know you don't see clearly, but I'll flip to the next slide here in a minute to show you what each one of those focuses on, has its own committee, working committee of moving the work forward, having those conversations that we need to have, being intentional in pulling the data that we need to make sure that we're making the right moves, the right decisions for the right reasons together. Ultimately, to recruit and retain the best staff and to reflect the communities that we serve, right? We're going to talk about representation. It's not just in representation in staff, but also for our communities that are walking through those doors, right? They're already here for all the wrong reasons. How can we make our communities, our patients and families also feel that sense of belonging, safe space, that we see you, we care for you, and we're being equitable in terms of how do we then bring that when not just medical treatment, but just treatment of a human being to light. So in our next slide, as we really focus in on that framework, I really want to show you, this is what I mean. This is the framework, and you can just see the sheer scope of committees that fall under each one of these centers of excellence, if you will. And each one of these committees has an army within an army doing this work. And we're just a part of it. So when we say a small team of 4, it's everyone else as well that's doing the work before us, with us, and we're setting legacy for the future. In our next slide, I really want to hyper focus that last year in 2022, I believe it was in 2022 or 2021 late, there was that intentional action to really embed inclusion in our shared values. So when you look at nationwidechildrens.org, right, that external website, and you look at what's our mission, what's our vision, there was an intentional move and choice to integrate inclusion values within our shared values. So as an Office of Inclusion and Culture, we really hone in on those. And what does that mean? And how do we operate through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion through these values? How do we continue to promote that and do that for our staff and for our patients and families? So this is just one example of we are listening, we are evaluating, we are reviewing, and we're doing something with that information. We're making intentional, actionable choices. And this is one example. So really, as a team, we love this quote, but in any conversation that we're able to have, we do believe that diversity is a fact, right? Each one of us is a member of a dimension of diversity. I am a certain age, a gender identity, a certain religion, economic status, etc. So it's a fact, right? And how do we then celebrate that and really promote equity as a choice? How do we learn and practice and inclusion as an action? Ultimately, for belonging being the outcome, and then how do we continue and sustain that in our culture? How do we ingrain that in our culture? So this is one of our favorite quotes that we like to promote. And really in conversation, it looks like inspiration, right? Every interaction that we have, we're continuing to learn as a team. How do we do it better? How can we do it together? And our next slide is just that co-creating. So we always love saying, how do we co-create this together? Because I'll be the first one to say, I don't know it all, but I'm excited that I don't know it all because I want to continue to learn. So how do I continue to cultivate diversity? We ask our system partners, our staff, help us get there, help us create this together and advance equity while we practice inclusion in our everyday behaviors, while we foster belonging in our everyday actions. And how do we do that for the journey that has, you're all made a choice to be here, right? So does your journey start today, or does your journey start when you step through those doors of Nationwide Children's Hospital? For us, it's every interaction. You may be all here thinking ahead, how am I going to go there if I want that? we start the journey in every interaction. So we really like to promote that in terms of every interaction counts. You only need one person, right, to inspire, to motivate, to believe in you. And that's what we share here at Nationwide Children's. I'm going to pass it off to my partner, Dominique, to take us through what does our work look like on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute, month by month, year to year. And so I hand off to Dominique to shed some light on the amazing work that we do.
Awesome. Thank you, Lainey. We are in the business of changing lives, one moment at a time, one training at a time. But one of those things is our customized learning opportunities. Now, this just encompasses all that we do, but this is constantly changing based on the needs of our NCH staff and what gaps are there amongst the culture. But essentially, we provide seminars, training, and mentoring through things like our search program. Now, I say this now because Tamikia Smith is the contact you're going to want to talk to, and the breakout session you're going to want to join to ask questions about that. It's a very impactful program, internship, mentoring opportunity, and a paid opportunity. So if you're interested, you'll be speaking with her about that. Also, microaggressions, identity trainings. This is important that this is a resource that's important that we provide to all staff across NCH, whether it is on our main campus in Columbus or some of our offsite locations, which include, but is not limited to, Toledo, our primary care locations, Dublin sites. Now, if you're familiar with the Columbus area, you would know that we have to travel to these locations to provide trainings like this. We provide immersion experiences like our poverty simulation. And what this does is it puts people in positions, when I say people, like our staff, physicians, clinicians, and administrators, in positions to understand what it's like to be without. And it helps them to understand the client and the patients and families that they serve and the struggles that they may go through. Because sometimes people just don't know. But the more you know, the more you can be better and provide services and be understanding and provide empathy and give space for grace. Another immersion experience we provide is the game of oppression, that we reach out to students that come to NCH through internship opportunities, or even staff, to understand what it's like to feel what oppression is like, and not just through the lens of race. It goes throughout the intersecting identities that we all possess. But these are things that not everybody is privileged to know. So this gives us an opportunity to train and provide these type of educational and teachable moments to those that come onto our campus. We also give room to have group discussions, because the art of storytelling, or allowing people to share their narratives, also helps people to understand someone else's struggle or someone else's lived experiences. Now, this also helps dispel myths, provide more education that is outside of our textbooks or outside of written literature, and helps put humanity at the forefront, so people can understand, like, hey, life isn't just only seen through your eyes. Other people go through things too. And here is a level of mutual understanding that we could reach. Another learning opportunities that we provide. Oh, that's good. Keep on going ahead. Thank you. Another opportunities that we provide is our leadership development opportunities, which includes our ERG programs. And I'll go into those in detail on the next slide. But here, this breaks down what we do in a midst of a year. Now, this does include any personal cases that we may come across where there are differences in opinion, or people seek out opportunities for clarity when it comes to terminology to use, or how to approach people of different cultures. But this breaks down what we do throughout our first and second quarter. For example, we just recently completed our MLK Week, which is a enterprise-wide event that brought in a lot of our NCH people that are on this call today, and also our corporate organizations, community leaders, so on and so forth, to provide service opportunities, economic opportunities, and teachable moments where we're able to go to our NCH school-based clinics here and see how they support students that are in our grammar schools or K through 12 institutions. If y'all ever heard of TED Talk, we have something similar here at NCH, an opportunity to share your lived experience through your lens, and also through the lens of healthcare and how that may impact you or impact the people that you serve. We call that Discovery X. Some of the people on this call participated in that, and it was a phenomenal program. It's a reoccurring program that we will be doing because it helps bring light to people's lived experiences, and also light to the differences and similarities that we share across the board. We also have an opportunity where we're going to push the envelope just a little bit by looking at our anti-racism focus and launch this to our NCH leaders, so we could talk about what anti-racism means, how that impacts equity when it comes to the lens of hiring, when it comes to writing policies that impact NCH staff and employees. We also have our Inclusion Council, because we can't all do this by ourselves. We are a small team of 4, but we need the buy-in and support from our other departments and other units within NCH to help push this narrative, and also see how important it is to have inclusion in culture trainings and teachable moments and opportunities for courageous conversations. Now, the Inclusion Council is made up of leaders that lead either DEI teams or are part of our employee resource groups. Now, that takes me to the next slide. Oh, actually it doesn't, but nevertheless, this is an example of our leadership. Our leadership showing their support for diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is pretty much the cornerstone of where our Stand Against Racism, Stand for Health Equity is built upon. And I'll give y'all a second to read that. I won't read it to you all, but this lets you know that if our leadership is aligned with DEI initiatives, then of course it's going to funnel down to our values. It's also going to funnel down to how we implement things and how we welcome people to the fold. Because NCH is looking to hire or at least about 20,000 more people to come into our campus, and those that come are going to have to understand and know that DEI is our cornerstone, and this is what we look at when we're looking at serving patients, families, the communities that our campus is situated in, and also the employees that we bring into our fold. Next slide, please. Right, now here we go. Now, one way about doing that is bringing people that are interested in changing lives. I call them our crusaders for change. That is through our employee research groups, or ERGs for short. And what those are affinity groups, or individuals that come together that have similar interests, whether it is about LGBTQ plus culture, or Asian Pacific Islander, or sustainability. The list goes on. We have at least about 8 of them already, and it's anticipated to grow. But these groups help bring attention to different cultures that are that make up our staff at NCH, that also help put together and implement programming. They also are our first line of defense when it comes to questions about the changing in the culture at NCH. And they also help us to keep a metric on what's missing and what we need to introduce to NCH in order to be seen as are America's best employers for diversity, according to Forbes. Now, these groups help us stay aligned with our DEI metrics, our DEI measures. They also help us introduce new concepts and new ideas. Like, for example, with our green team, they help us identify a way that we could be more sustainable with our waste and our food. There may be an increase in recycling bins at people's desks, or maybe a bigger size recycling bin because the ones we have are not sustainable. And these are gaps that our ERGs help introduce to our team so we can change the culture for better and be better impactful when it comes to our DEI initiatives. Now, keep in mind, the reason why these are here is we have to, when you know better, you do better. And with the way that our, what they call it, the great resignation, we know that people are looking for a little bit more than just a paycheck. Although a paycheck is important, they're looking for a sense of belonging. They're looking for their voices to be heard. They're looking to do something of value. And that's where our ERGs and our Inclusion and Culture Office does. Back to you, Lainey.
Thank you, Dominice. And if you didn't already get an idea of the scope and the impact that our office does, and not alone, you get a sense that the true team of inclusion and culture is all of us, right? We embed intentionally everywhere across the hospital. It's our intention to make sure that we learn through them, with them. And I say them, and it's clinical in every space that we can't be in, but we are embedded. We have our ambassadors, our champions, our advocates, whatever identity that you face in, that you choose to be in, whether you're a learner in one, a neutral, or an advocate in the other, we're in this together. And because we're doing this work, it's every day that we make a choice to be here, and every day that we make a choice to listen, and every day that we make a choice to show up. And it's all of us. And again, it's the small team of 4 that we're just convening this work, right? Because when we talk about in the last 10 minutes of Dominique sharing what we're doing, there's so much more, right? And that future forward focus that you saw, that's just what we can fit in the slide for what we anticipate to have for 2023 alone. Our intention is to build legacy, and we can't do that just the team of 4, but you get a chance to have the 4 of us here, or the 3 of us, 3 out of the 4 in this call. And if there's not room in our small team, we always say, if you're here at NCH, you're already part of the Inclusion and Culture Office. Reach out to us. There's work to be done. There's things to learn together. And let's move this work forward. Every day we're changing lives through interactions in and outside of the hospital. Just alone, the celebrations for Martin Luther King Jr. Service Week that Dominique shared, we got a chance to be out there in the community and see how we're changing lives. And it's emotional, and it's heavy work, and it's the good, the bad, the ugly, the uncomfortable, right? But nevertheless necessary. And I'm just honored to be here with 2 of my team members to join in this conversation and share this with you, that we're not there yet. We're not perfect, but we're striving to be better than yesterday. So in our next slide, you'll see a little bit of us. So you met 3 out of the 4. We're led by our director, Lourdes Negron McDaniel. Connect with us, reach out to us. Again, even if it's not in our direct team of 4, you are already part of this team if you are here. You made the choice to be on this call, you're already there, right? So thank you everyone for having us. Dominique, any last closing thoughts that you want to give before we close out?
Absolutely. You all are powerful in your own right and have powerful voices. Do not be afraid to use them, ever. And that's it.
Thank you. Awesome. That was an awesome presentation. I can speak to, being a Columbus native, currently living in Columbus. I can speak to the work that Nationwide Children's does in the community, and having seen the transformation of that Nationwide Children's Hospital campus and the community surrounding that campus. So it's not just talk, it is actually great things happening in action. So, all right, let's go ahead and transition to a quick panel discussion. So I'm going to introduce our panelists first so that you all know who we're talking to. And then we'll jump into our panel discussion where I've prepared some questions to ask our panelists to learn a little bit more about the culture and what they are doing there at Nationwide Children's Hospital. So first, let me introduce Stacy Benton, who's MSN RN NEBC, Director, Clinical Services for Behavioral Health. So Stacy, if you're ready, we'd love for you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do at Nationwide Children's Hospital.
Absolutely. Well, I hope everybody can hear me and see me and can see our beautiful building behind us. But I am the Director of Clinical Services, and that title for some is kind of confusing. Like, what do I specifically do? My role is kind of akin to the Chief Nursing Officer for Behavioral Health. I have a dotted line reporting structure, or my boss, I guess you could say, is the CNO, but I also have a solid line to our VP of Behavioral Health Services. So have a lot of dual responsibilities in some capacities. My experience, as you can see, is listed from my different degrees and things I've done in order to get to this point. And you can see that it's been about 4 years since I've been at Columbus. So clearly newer to the organization, but not new to behavioral health. I am a Cincinnati native. I'm not sure if we have any native Cincinnatians on the line, but I spent about 25 years at Cincinnati Children's in patient services in some capacity. Yeah, see a hoo day, love it. I started off long time ago as what we called a patient attendant. So other places call it a sitter, and I would actually sit with those kids who were in need of behavioral health services or some medical support, and started to make some transitions and climb some ladders to get to where I am today, but have both inpatient, outpatient psychiatry, as well as residential experience, and then some experience in the medical side, as you can see, with cardiac step down and working in a float pool. So I'm very happy to have made that transition, which was a huge step for me and my family to come to a place that was clearly home for me. I think that kind of gives you an overview of who I am, and we can talk a little bit more in the breakout session about information I have to share. So. Awesome.
Thanks, Stacy, for being one of our panelists. Let me introduce our next panelist, who is Maisha D. Harmon, MHA CCRP, Director of Clinical Research Operations, and Next Consortium, Interim Director, Clinical Research Services. So Maisha, if you'd like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do at Nationwide Children's Hospital. I think you're on mute.
I think we would know how to do this after 3 years of the pandemic, right? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be with this group. I have been at Children's for 18 years. I'm a proud graduate of Bennett College for Women in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I work in the clinical research sector here at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Clinical research is the comprehensive study of any drugs or labs or diagnostic tools that you may have been a part of in your physician's office or in your healthcare journey. All of those things were studied at one point in a clinical research trial on volunteers that are humans. So that is kind of what we do here. We have a vast portfolio. I'm the current director of HEMOC BMT and the Next Consortium, which is a multi-site trial consortium, but also serving as the interim director for our centralized clinical research services, as the previous director has left, and I've been serving in that capacity for the last 6 months or so. We have a vast portfolio of clinical trials that are open, and most times for pediatrics, sometimes they don't have a way to get some of the cutting edge drugs and things that they need for various treatments unless they are on a clinical trial. So here we make sure that we are running clinical trials according to good clinical practice, and that we are doing the very best that we can by our human participants and making sure that we are compliant and following all the rules of the FDA, any governing or regulatory agencies or bodies to make sure that we are doing research right. To say I could talk all day about Nationwide Children's, I absolutely love it here. You don't stay here this long unless you love the culture, the climate, and the people. And you guys got to see one of the things that I love about Children's is that where there is a need, we will do our best to fill that. And that DEI presentation just shows you how Nationwide Children's is committed to its staff, its patients, and our community. So I'll stop there and looking forward to the panel.
Maisha, where are you from originally?
Columbus, Ohio. So I am a Columbus
Awesome.
native. We're a great city. Come join us.
Awesome. Thank you for being one of our panelists. So our next panelist is Shanice Jackson, BSN, RN, CPN, Charge Nurse, General Medicine Unit. So Shanice, if you're ready, please go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do at Nationwide Children's.
Hello, I'm Shanice Jackson. I'm on one of our permanent charge nurses on H9A, which is our general medicine unit. I kind of help manage the floor, be a resource as for our nurses and for our families. I'm on night shift, so I'm one of two of the permanent charge nurses there. I'm also part of one of the military ERGs at the inclusion and culture team we're talking about. I graduated from Hampton in 2018. Something about myself. So I'm not originally from Ohio. I'm from California. I was a military brat. So I went to Virginia to go to Hampton, and NCH sent a recruiter down there, which is for their internship program, which you'll probably hear about later. And I was an intern there, and then I got hired on. So I've been here for 5 years now. So not so much new anymore, but transitioning into getting comfortable. And I love working at NCH.
Awesome, awesome. So from one Hampton grad to another, thanks for joining us in Columbus. All right, so let's go ahead and start our panel discussion. I prepared a few questions to ask our panelists on behalf of you all as candidates, but if you have questions that you'd like for me to ask, and if we have time, go ahead and drop those questions in the chat. But Shanice, Maisha, and Stacy, if you'd like to come on video, I'm gonna take down my slides for the moment, and we'll focus on your video. So, okay, so first question, I'm going to circle back to Stacy. Stacy, can you tell us a little bit about how your role supports the mission of the hospital? I know you talked a little bit about what you do in your role, but how does that role support the mission of Nationwide Children's Hospital?
So I think you guys got a chance to see our strategic plan, and on that strategic plan, you can see that behavioral health is one of those main pillars for this next strategic 5-year goal. So we've recognized that behavioral health is a key component that affects all patients in a lot of different ways that utilize our services. So we wanted to make a very clear and pointed effort to look at how we are approaching that as an organization. The commitment of this, behavioral health facility is huge for the community and how we will provide those services throughout. So it is definitely a wonderful opportunity for Columbus. It is definitely a wonderful opportunity for the nation. Our goal is to highlight practice and how we can best serve communities. Not that we are the one-stop shop for the nation, but we want to definitely be leaders in behavioral health and set that example.
Awesome, awesome. So this next question I like to pose to Maisha. So Maisha, what advice would you give a student interested in your career path, whether that's internships, courses they should take, volunteering opportunities? What advice would you give someone coming behind you that might like to choose your career path?
My advice would be to talk to someone in the field and try to make those connections. Clinical research is a growing field that many, many moons ago, no one knew exactly what that meant and what it entailed. I kind of fell into it. So my advice would be talk to folks that are in the field, make those connections before you leave school. If you can shadow at your local hospital, just contacting the research department to see if you can come in and see a day in the life of your research team or someone in that department, or just make that connection. And once you make that connection, keep in touch with those connections, because once you're out of school, they may not have anything right then and there, but right now we are hiring left and right because of the Great Resignation and folks looking to do other things. So even if when you're graduating or you meet that person, the time isn't right then, keep those connections, because you never know when someone is looking for someone, or if I don't have something, there are clinical research leaders all across this hospital. It is not, very many times, if I have a resume of someone that I think can do the job or it would be qualified, but I'm not hiring, I can pass that on to my colleagues who may be looking. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to really research the education pieces for what you need to do. There's now a clinical research master's program that didn't exist 18 years ago when I started. So looking at what else you can do for yourself and what you can do to further your education and your career, and to have a mentor in this field, that can help steer you in the right path, in the right directions. A lot of clinical research starts with a clinical research coordinator, which is an entry-level position. That is the way that I started, and I'm now the director of the team. So getting in to understand what those career paths look like and where you can go in the field is what I would suggest, but really making those connections. I am a selective introvert. Networking for me gives me angst, but it has been the most successful tool that I've been able to use in my career. So you got to do it. You just got to make those connections and hold on to those connections.
Excellent, excellent. And let me pose this next question to Shanice. So what is it that you know now that you wish you knew prior to taking on the position there at Nationwide Children's Hospital?
I would have to take it back to kind of in school. It's a lot of information that you need to know. And, it's such a short amount of time that they're filling you with all this information and you feel like you need to know everything. And you really don't. Nationwide Children has a resource for everything. And so even if it's like a document, a staff person, any profession, they're very willing to help you out. Lab, pharmacy, all the professions, they will help you connect and get the information that you need. So don't feel like you need to know everything when you're starting, because you don't. Everybody's going to hold your hand all the way through, and people are still holding my hand. I've been there 5 years.
Awesome. So Shanice, a follow-up question. How did you find out about, I think you said you started as an intern, was it?
Yes.
How did you find out about the internship? And then what made you choose to accept an offer for full-time position there at Nationwide Children's?
So NCH came down to our job career at Hampton University. And that's how I kind of found out about them, got the information. And I've always wanted to work in pediatrics. So it sounded interesting to me. And I was a little nervous because it was in Ohio, but I took the chance and I applied, and I really loved the culture on the floor, and people were just so welcoming, and it was an easy fit for me. So after the internship was over, I contacted my manager the next year, and I was like, hey, I really want to apply. And she gave me the dates. And the experience there, not only in the hospital, but outside the hospital, was really great. The Nationwide Children also connected me with other Hampton students who had graduated and worked there, and they helped show me around the community and stuff as well too. So that was like an easy transition for me.
Awesome. So this next question, or these next couple of questions, I'm going to ask to everyone on our panel. But Shanice, since you just finished up, I'll ask you first because it kind of ties into what you just mentioned, and that is enjoying your experience inside and outside of the hospital. So what is it that you like most about relocating to Columbus, Ohio? Or what is it about the area that you like most? So if you were telling someone coming behind you who maybe is going to consider an opportunity at Nationwide Children's and they're coming from outside of the area, what would you share with them about working in Columbus?
I would share one thing. One of my favorite things is the summer, all the festivals. in downtown Columbus. It is truly like a treat. The one thing about Nationwide, I would say, is I have to give a shout out to the inclusion and culture team, because from when I started to now, they have done an amazing job. And to see more people, you know, diverse people in the work field, it has been great. And that's what makes me feel more comfortable. And I love, you know, having our patients see that there's people that look like them that can do the jobs that we do.
Awesome. So I'll pass the microphone to Stacy. What is it that you like most about working there at Nationwide Children's in Columbus?
So part of me wants to say ditto to Shanice, because as you asked that question, it's a huge component of why I made the decision, and making that decision to move, you know, two teenagers out of their school is huge. So it was very important for me that they would be in a community that allowed them to be who they are, was diverse. It was important for me to, you know, in taking on a position like this, recognize or see that I would be sitting at a table with people who also look like me. Knowing that there is that kind of diversity at the C-suite level and, you know, in leadership positions is often key for people in making those kinds of decisions. And that clearly exists here at Nationwide Children's.
Awesome. And Maisha, what is it that you like most about working at Nationwide Children's there in Columbus?
I love the people. Some of the same folks that I met 18 years ago, I can still call to this day. We are a one-team culture here. When you pick up the phone and you need help or you have a question, everyone is focused on the same mission, you know, that we are here to help kids no matter what. That is what I love the most. And it is very rare that you encounter someone here who is not of that same mindset. So again, the relationships that I have and have built over time, if they are still at Nationwide Children's, you can pick up the phone and you may not have talked to them for 5 years, but if you need something, they're willing to help and connect you with the right person who can help with whatever you need at that time. I love Columbus because I'm from here. My family is here. You know, Columbus is a nice place to raise children. If you're ready for a family, it is a nice place that if you are young and looking for things to do, like Shanice said, there's something every weekend in the summer. It's a nice place to explore. We are friendly for the LGBTQ community. I mean, there's a host of things with Columbus, Ohio, that having been here most of my life, with the exception of a stint in Michigan, which was not good, and college, that, you know, you can find some of everything here. So as many times as I sometimes entertain moving, my heart is still here, and I still very much love the city and discover new things about the city from time to time. So
awesome. So I'm going to reiterate that because I'm also from Columbus, Ohio, before I ask this next question. But a lot of people think Ohio and they think cornfields, or they think, you know, it's isolated or desolated, or maybe they think there's not a lot of diversity. But actually Columbus, Ohio is one of the biggest cities in the country. There's a lot of diversity. We've had a Black mayor. Our last mayor prior to this previous mayor was a Black mayor. And it's my business, HBCU Connect, is based in Columbus, Ohio. I went away to Hampton University. I was lucky enough to come back home and work out of Columbus, Ohio. And I've traveled all over the world and all over the United States. And there's a culture in Columbus, Ohio that's very inviting. And I think it's almost like people being nice to each other, people greeting each other, is almost like a virus that spreads, and people like to do it and people feel good about it. So I'm an advocate, a big advocate of my hometown there in Columbus, Ohio. So if you all are thinking about opportunities and you're wondering, well, what is it like to live and work in Columbus, Ohio? You know, HBCU Connect could be anywhere in the country, and we've chosen to stay in Columbus, Ohio. So big shout out to the folks there in Columbus. I actually happen to be working remote today, but I'll be in Columbus tomorrow. All right, so let me ask this last question. We've got a couple of minutes left. And so briefly, I'd like to go to each of you and ask, what is it like for you, like a day in the life? What is a day in the life like for you? So Shanice, if you'd like to answer that one first.
A day in the life for me is I'm a night shifter, so I sleep all day. I wake up and I go to work. Since I'm charge nurse, I have to be there a little earlier before the regular staff. We do a charge nurse meeting at 6:30, and we report everybody on the floor what they're here for, how old they are, and what's going on with them. And then I go to what's called 7 at 7, and the prior charge nurse kind of fills in the new staff, the night shift staff, on what's kind of happening on the floor, how many patients we have, anybody we need to be concerned about, and then we disperse. I help out as a resource. I manage the staffing system to make sure that we have staff for the night. And then after that, I'll put out any fires if I need to, get help if I need to. After that, I come home to my dog, my fiance, and I go back to sleep and do it all over again the next day. But on my other days, I am a flight nurse on the military side, so I do that as well.
Awesome. Stacy, a day in the life for you, what is that like?
A day in the life for me is definitely about strategizing operations and figuring out how do we improve systems so that our families have what they need, our patients are safe, and our staff are safe. That may come down to how many people do we need each shift, and working with the program managers to remove barriers so that they can make improvements and meet our families where they need us.
Awesome. Maisha.
Yeah, day in life in clinical research is no 2 days are ever the same. Some days it is about, making sure that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's to get a study open, so that if we have a patient waiting, we're doing everything we can so that patient can receive the treatment and stay on study, because there are certain things you have to do for them to stay on a clinical trial. Like Stacy said, it's strategizing to make sure we have enough staff. Part of the strategic plan is to integrate research into the clinical space. So it's working with nursing and physicians sometimes to figure out how we can execute a clinical trial in the clinical space. It's working with HR to find good candidates to fill the vacancies that I have and that some of my colleagues have. It is, working with an all director team to make sure we're making the best decisions for our employees. I saw a question in the chat that asked about whether everything was on campus or remote. Both of the clinical research teams that I oversee right now we have a hybrid model. There are some positions that are at home 100% of the time because they are not patient facing. There are other positions that are patient facing, but we want to make sure that we have equity and work-life balance for those folks, so they get a work from home day once a week. So it's making sure that we are equitable for our employees, and that as the landscape change and as the world changes with how we view work, it's working with folks like Stacy and other leadership across the hospital to make sure that Nationwide Children's is competitive, that we have a reason for good people to come, and that we're able to keep and retain those employees. So it runs the gamut. I love every part of it, but no 2 days are the same. Some of them are 8-hour days, some of them are 12-hour days. It just depends on what's going on.
Awesome. So let me thank you all for being our panelists for today's event. And now let's go ahead and transition into our breakout rooms. So thanks to our panelists. All right, so we've got 2 breakout rooms set up. I'm getting ready to open up the breakout rooms where you can self-select into the breakout rooms. There will be an option that'll pop up here in a second. As you can see on the screen, there's also a picture of what that option looks like within Zoom to join the breakout rooms. If you don't see the option, or you can't find it, or you're dialing in from a phone, just hang on. Once we get everybody into the right room, then I'll help folks. I'll stay here in the main lobby area and help folks get into the breakout sessions. All right, but we've got 2 breakout sessions. One's for clinical or nursing professionals, or those that are currently in nursing or looking to get into nursing. And then we have professional, which is everything else and all of the other opportunities that are represented there at Nationwide Children's Hospital, which include allied health, behavioral health, research, and the search internships. So before we jump into those breakout sessions, Kimberly Is there anything else you want to say about who should go into each breakout room?
Yep, I think you covered it. So nursing, the first breakout room, and then also some information about our nursing internship. And in the second one, everything else, like Will said.
Awesome. So if you're interested in nursing, whether that's an internship or full-time, you go into clinical, and then everyone else, you'll have the plethora of opportunities in the professional breakout room. I'm going to go ahead and open up the rooms, but let me go over etiquette quickly for this online call, right? So you'll have the opportunity to turn on your video and unmute yourself and ask questions, but I'm going to ask you to use the reaction feature. If you're going to ask a question, there's a feature in Zoom called reactions. You can find that feature under the ellipsis on the menu options. You click on reactions and you can click raise hand. Once you're in the breakout rooms, if you click raise hand, that way, once the Nationwide Children's team has introduced themselves, they can call on you in case you have a question that you'd like to ask live on audio or video. If you don't have the capability, or you're not in a quiet place to be able to come off of mute and turn on your video, then you can ask your questions in the chat. So I'm going to ask the Nationwide Children's team to keep an eye on the chat for any questions that come in through the chat. We've got a lot of time. So this is your opportunity to take advantage of, we're not going to record the breakout sessions either. So it's a safe place for you to ask questions. But this is your opportunity to get to know the team better, to ask questions, to engage, and to set yourself up for a great opportunity in the future. So I highly encourage you to ask your questions, introduce yourself in the chat, but also be courteous to others by not taking up too much time when you ask your questions, but do ask those questions and engage. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the breakout rooms now. So you'll see 2 rooms. You can go ahead and jump into the rooms. If anyone needs help, drop it in the chat. Just let me know what room you'd like to go into, or you can, come off of mute after I've gotten everyone in the chat taken care of. But you can go ahead, yes, and jump into the breakout rooms. That also includes the Nationwide Children's team. If you'd like to go ahead and jump into your appropriate room and start the presentations. Thanks, everyone. I'll be here in the main session. If you have any questions or issues, you can come back here and I'll try to help you out. All right, everyone, take care, take advantage, and we'll come back here once the breakout sessions are over.
Hey, Will,
Yes.
it's Tamikia. So only thing I see is breakout room in progress, but I don't know how to get into the room.
No worries. I can move you into a breakout room. Which room should you be in?
I'm presenting in room 2.
Professional?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Hey, this is Carola Cancino. Can you assign room 1 for me? I'm also clicking the breakout room and nothing is happening for me.
Gotcha. No problem.
Okay, I got it.
Awesome. If anyone else needs help, drop it in the chat, or you can come off of mute. Just give me your name and which room you'd like to go into. Hey, Reg, why don't you keep an eye on the nursing room, or no, the professional room. March, professional. Anyone else needs help jumping into a breakout room, just let me know, either in the chat or you can come off of mute and I'll try to help you out.
Hi, Will. Linda already replied back. For the 6 months payment, she said that was not a possibility. She said that you could pay using your credit card, and maybe that way you could.
We're currently in breakout sessions, so let me know if you need help getting into one of the 2 rooms. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully you all were able to take advantage of the breakout sessions. So now what we like to do is talk next steps. Hopefully you're excited about the opportunities that are available at Nationwide Children's. First of all, can everyone hear me okay? You guys can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's talk about next steps. There's lots of opportunities. I think I heard earlier in the event that Nationwide Children's will be hiring thousands of people. I'm an advocate of Columbus, Ohio. So if you all want to reply back to any of my emails and ask me questions about Columbus, I'm happy to answer some of those questions. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is to go to nationwidechildrens.org/careers and check out the opportunities that are available and definitely apply to those opportunities. But Kimberly, did you have any last words or words of advice, encouragement on those next steps for our candidates?
Yeah, just wanted to first thank everybody for participating and taking the time out of your busy school schedules, or you work full-time, taking time out of your day to participate. And also a thank you to all of our NCH participants as well. But yeah, as Will said, you can use that link right there to go to our careers page and research any career that you're interested in, and then go ahead and apply. And then also we had all of the recruiter emails in those breakout sessions, so feel free to reach out to us directly as well. So yeah.
Excellent. And for those that are still with us, if you want to come on video, I love to get a screenshot of your smiling faces before we go. This is something that's customary, but let me also thank you all for joining us. Without you all coming to these events would not be possible. So you're not only creating an opportunity for yourself, but you're also creating an opportunity for someone that might be coming behind you, interested in learning about opportunities with Nationwide Children. So you want to turn on your camera. I love to get a screenshot of your smiling faces before we go. That includes the Nationwide folks, to any of our candidates. Would love to get the screenshot and get a picture of your smiling faces. But
we're getting rid of the slide deck so you can get everybody on the screen.
Yeah, let me do that. Yeah. Let me stop sharing. There we go.
Thank you.
All right, let's do this. All right, so let's say cheese on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, cheese. All right, awesome. Hey, again, let me thank everyone for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time out. Hopefully you not only learn something, but create an opportunity for yourself in the future. So also thanks to the Nationwide Children's Hospital team for partnering with HBCU Connect on this event. We really appreciate it. On behalf of all of our candidates, we say thank you. And again, we will follow up with the link here via email, as well as the video
from today's event, post-event. So you all, best of luck to you all, and thanks again. Everyone take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.